According to the United Nations, there has been a staggering rise in the number of extreme weather events over the past 30 years. Experts also warn that climate change is supercharging these extreme events. As reported by the Associated Press, extreme heat and rainfall events are getting more frequent, more severe, according to Kai Kornhuber, a research scientist at Columbia University. According to an annual study by the American Meteorological Society, climate change is also producing more compound events, which are times when two extreme things happen at the same time. The head scientist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Sarah Kapnick, issued a warning. The risk of extreme events is growing, and they are affecting every corner of the world. A timeline of the extreme weather occurrences in 2023 are the following. January, with an average temperature of 35.2 degrees Fahrenheit across the US in January. It was the sixth warmest month on record. The cause of this was a combination of high pressure and a jet stream that drove storms west and distributed milder Pacific air throughout the whole nation. According to the Washington Post, climate change has exacerbated the rising temperatures. It was the third wettest January in history due to the enormous amounts of precipitation that fell during the month. California, which was experiencing a drought, received exceptional rainfall as a result of a record number of atmospheric rivers. During the 10 storms that hit the state, there were landslides, floods, and snowfall in the mountainous areas. There were numerous tornadoes in the South and the Midwest. There were 168 early reports of tornadoes, the most of which were in the South, according to the Storm Prediction Center. According to CNN, there were increased tornado conditions because of the warmer temperatures. February, tornadoes, mild weather, and a surprise snowfall all occurred in February. Ice storms and Arctic conditions were present during the start of the month in Texas, the Midwest, and the Northeast, respectively. Several tornadoes were also reported in the Midwest throughout the month, which is unusual for February. The nation later in the month witnessed both extremely cold and extraordinarily warm temperatures. Winter storm conditions in Southern California made travel in the area difficult. Other regions of the nation, particularly in the southeast of the US, had temperatures that were practically spring-like and broke some records. March, the Washington Post said that Cyclone Freddy made news once more in March after initially walloping Madagascar and Mozambique at the end of February. On March 11, the storm made a second landfall in Mozambique. Freddy, which lasted for more than a month, was one of the planet's most potent storms and one of the longest-lasting tropical cyclones ever recorded. According to Reuters, Freddy left at least 400 people dead and hundreds more injured in both Malawi and Mozambique. In addition to floods, Freddy destroyed phone and electricity lines, affected infrastructure, and caused landslides. The distance that Freddy has traveled makes it interesting. According to the BBC, one of just 4 storms in recorded history to accomplish so. It started at Strip off the coast of northwest Australia and traveled from east to west across the southern Indian Ocean. 2 individuals died and more than 100,000 people lost power as a result of the bomb cyclone delivered by California's atmospheric river. Winds reached hurricane-level speed and impacted 35 million people, with the San Francisco Bay Area seeing the most severe weather, according to the National Weather Service, which also issued a warning of rapid runoff, flooding, and mudslides given the already wet, saturated soil conditions. According to ABC News, the storm was regarded as the strongest March storm ever recorded in the Bay Area. At least 25 people died in Mississippi and 1 person died in Alabama as a result of tornadoes that ravaged the South. The storm was classified as an EF4 tornado by the National Weather Service because winds from 166 to 200 miles per hour were measured. Emergency Manager Roy Steed in Humphreys County, Mississippi, described the situation as almost total devastation. According to the BBC, the hurricane was the deadliest in the state of Mississippi in more than a decade. And this little old town, I don't know what the population is more or less wiped off the map. April. Over the course of the 3 days from March 31 to April 1, a catastrophic storm system tore over the Midwest, South, and Mid-Atlantic, bringing with it tornadoes that killed at least 32 people and left a large number without power. The system had 2 bullseyes, AccuWeather meteorologist Jake Soider told the New York Times. By April 7, almost as many people had been killed by tornadoes in the first 3 months of 2023 as are typically killed by tornadoes in a whole year. According to CBS News, usually, you have the greatest risk really concentrated in one area, said CBS News. To have 2 separate areas that had such a significant risk for tornadoes, that is definitely more uncommon. With a storm hit Oklahoma on April 19, tornadoes persisted throughout the month. According to McLean County Emergency Management, the tornado was large and extremely dangerous, claimed at least 3 victims, and it left a trail of destruction in its wake. The storm left more than 17,000 people in the central United States without electricity. According to Axios, high wind storms also swept across Texas and the South as a result of the area's unstable air. A number of heat waves across Asia and the Mediterranean also occurred in April. Some of the hottest temperatures ever recorded were recorded in a number of Asian nations, including Bangladesh, India, Laos, and Thailand. Some of these temperatures exceeded 45 degrees Celsius, or 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Spain and Morocco in the Mediterranean also saw record-breaking temperatures, with each exceeding 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Climate change has been blamed for both hot waves. According to researchers looking into the Asia heat wave, global temperatures will continue to rise, and events like this will become more frequent and severe until overall greenhouse gas emissions are halted. May, typhoons, cyclones, and other summer weather events also became more frequent as summer drew nearer. The world's air quality suffered while wildfires burned in Alberta, Canada. Despite the fact that wildfires are frequent at this time of year, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) noted that the season had gotten off to an unusually active start. When smoke from the flames entered the country, Wisconsin, Montana, Nebraska, Washington, and other states issued air quality alerts. There are a number of health and respiratory issues that can arise from breathing in wildfire smoke. Midway through the month, Cyclone Mocha made landfall in Pakistan and Myanmar. Estimates put the death toll at hundreds, and the number of homeless people at hundreds of thousands. Muslims from Rohingya, who were moved to the area 10 years ago, or refugees, made up a large portion of those impacted. Dr. Win Myat, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management for Myanmar's National Unity Government, told the New York Times that the main reason the Rohingya people are losing a lot of lives during the cyclone is because they must dwell in a limited region with a high population. According to Reuters, the UN asked for $375 million in help to be provided to the countries so they could get supplies. Guam was struck by the full force of Typhoon Mawar, which resulted in extensive power disruptions. One of the strongest hurricanes to have ever hit Guam. The storm was rated as a Category 4 hurricane. President Joe Biden proclaimed a state of emergency in the region and gave the Federal Emergency Management Agency (FEMA) the power to identify, mobilize, and provide, at its discretion, equipment and resources necessary to alleviate the impacts of the emergency. As June began, wildfires were blazing across Canada, causing smoke to waft into the United States, beginning in the northeast and moving south and west. As a result of the smoke, the air quality became dangerous in some areas due to an increase in particulate matter. The air could cause health problems, so experts advised staying indoors and avoiding direct inhalation. Later in the month, a severe heat wave hit India, causing numerous power disruptions and approximately 170 fatalities. According to the Associated Press, India only declares heat waves when temperatures are at least 4.5 degrees Celsius above normal, or if the temperature is above 45 degrees Celsius 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Hospitals were also overcrowded and battled with the loss of power and cooling systems. Adding to the heat stress are consistent power outages across the region, leaving people without running water, fans, or air conditioners, the report stated. In addition, during the month, tornadoes tore through Mississippi, killing one person and injuring a number of others. National Weather Service meteorologist Eric Carpenter said, "This is a completely different game here. Nearly 50,000 houses were left without electricity in the area, with the remote town of Lewin suffering the most harm. What we would normally see in March and April, we're seeing in June," the meteorologist said. Brett, a tropical storm that developed in the Atlantic Ocean, is heading for the eastern Caribbean Sea. The AP described the hurricane as an unusually early and aggressive start to the Atlantic hurricane season. Two hurricanes haven't formed in the tropical Atlantic in June before in recorded history. Having said that, according to Al Gore, the science linking the increased frequency and severity of extreme weather to the climate crisis has matured tremendously in the last couple of years. We must be prepared at all times. Please subscribe to Weather Collapse if you want to know more and be updated on the latest news about natural calamities or disasters happening all over the world. And don't forget to like today's video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.